Hi, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Darlene Rondo, and I'm the Vice President, Best Practices for Leonardo's Online Merchandising Group, and I'm going to be your host for today's special event. Welcome to everyone around the globe, and to those for whom it's the middle of the night, a special thank you. A few housekeeping items before we begin. First, we'll be recording the webinar, and at the conclusion of today's session, we'll be sending you a thank you for joining us email with a link to that recording, which you can share or listen to again at your leisure. Additionally, you'll have a questions dialog box in your GoToMeeting panel, and I see that many of you have already found it. So as we move through our discussion today, please feel free to send in your questions, and we'll either address them throughout the webinar or at the end of the presentation. We're going to be tweeting during today's discussion, so please feel free to join in the conversation at #LeoWebinar. First, I'd like to introduce our speaker for today's event, Alicia Whalen. Alicia is a leading expert on how organizations can benefit from the social economy and how to build winning digital marketing strategies. She spent over a decade working with companies such as WestJet, Fairmont, BlackBerry, Travel Alberta, and Via Rail, developing targeted, measurable, and interactive strategies to reach, convert, and retain customers. Alicia is also the co-founder of the social media integration platform, #Yo, a solution that helps brands leverage social media to drive sales. Our special hotel guest today is the Director of Operations of Scott's Inn and Restaurant, Percy Amaria. Percy has over 20 years of extensive experience spanning hotels, private clubs, and restaurants. And Percy's focus is to provide industry insight, experience, and knowledge to clients on a personal level. He has close working relationships with distributors and leading industry personnel, and has worked with brands including IHG, Starwood, Wyndham, Hilton, Oberoi, and Coast Hotels. He's also worked with independents like the Orlando Sun Resort, Scott's Inn, as he's going to talk about today, Vernon Inn, Parkview, and Park Central, which is a boutique hotel in New York City. Percy strategically weaves innovative ideas and unique concepts through every approach, from daily operations, asset management, marketing, and business development. Percy holds a master's certificate in hospitality management from Cornell, a degree in culinary arts from the Culinary Institute of America, which I'm very jealous of, a diploma in hotel management from Sophia Polytechnic in Mumbai, and a bachelor's degree in finance and economics from Bombay University. So welcome, Percy. So glad to have you with us today. So as we do with all of our events, we launch a poll, and it is to get a sense from the audience what your challenges are. So today's poll question is, what is most challenging about search engine optimization for you? And just click on the radial button that most closely resembles your answer. So the first is, I don't have the skills or knowledge to manage it. Not sure how to improve my rankings. I don't have the budget to make it better. And then the last question is, or the last answer is, don't understand why local content helps my page results. And these are all topics that we're going to cover today in our webinar. And so, so this helps us understand the disposition of the audience and where everybody's coming from. So by and large, it looks like not sure how to improve my rankings is leading, followed pretty closely by I don't have the skills or knowledge to manage it. And then in third is budget, and 4 is don't understand why local content helps with my page results. So I'm going to close the poll. Thank you, everyone, for participating, and we're going to continue with our web event. Today we're going to debunk the myth that SEO is black magic that a lot of people would like to have you believe. But in reality, it's really about how well a website is constructed and that it contains relevant content to the questions being asked in the search bar. Now, you can hire a webmaster or an agency that specializes in SEO and have them make structural changes to your website every single time Google makes any of its 500 to 600 algorithm changes each year, or you can subscribe to a product like Visly that's updated with regular releases to keep ahead of the curve. And these updates are already included in the monthly fee. In today's world, search is the #1 driver of traffic to content, beating social media by more than 300%, and more than 90% of an online experience starts at search. But inevitably, hotel shoppers are looking for helpful information and a reason to choose you over the other guy. So the quality of your website content plays an impactful role in your rankings. If you focus on 2 main elements, search engine optimization is easy and doable without being scary and without a lot of complicated effort. The first thing to consider is the accessibility, which simply means how easy is it for a search engine bot to find your website and index it. It's not unlike a librarian finding a book, understanding the topic, and putting it in the relevant section and on the right shelf in the library, so that when asked, he or she can direct people to the exact spot where they can find it. The second element is relevance and usability. Google's main objective is to provide the consumer with the answer that best aligns with their question. In an effort to achieve that goal, it returns the website or page that is the most relevant and useful ahead of others. So just a little bit of insight before we get into the meat of today's discussion, and I will introduce Alicia Whalen. And Alicia, please take it from here.
Thank you, Darlene. We've done some SEO webinars in the past, and today we really want to focus on moving forward into really what's changed and what is going to impact hoteliers specifically and all tourism operators from this point forth. There has been quite a shift in optimization strategies and what you really need to look for. So let's focus specifically today on what's changed and why it's changed from the perspective of consumer search behavior. So we're going to focus on a few key things today. Hoteliers really need to focus on content on their website, which has always been the case. But now more than ever, they need to focus on optimizing their content for increasing in-destination mobile searches. That's something that has shifted and changed. Google Places has always been critical. It has been a little bit confusing as Google Places has changed from a naming of Google Local. Google Plus there's recently been a demise in the use of Google Plus, and that was sort of tied into Google Places and Google Local at one point, and Google Reviews as well. So we're going to show you specifically how to ensure that your Google Places optimization is done properly, and the importance then of managing Google Reviews and how that's going to impact your search engine rankings. Specifically, Google Local or Places optimization is also critical for your mobile search optimization. Just a note there that your mobile, the algorithm is slightly different for searches done on tablets and mobile devices. We're also going to talk about having a website that is mobile optimized or optimized for the experience on a mobile device, whether it's a tablet or a phone device. There are a few different kinds of optimized websites for mobile devices that are available, responsive designed, or a full mobile optimized website for that experience. But in general, optimizing your website for that experience is critical, and now has impacted search engine ranking as well. Not only just in usability, but download time. All of these things will now impact your ranking and in the search. The other big change that we've seen is that social signals or referrals back from social media have become extremely important in determining search ranking. So the new rules of search engine optimization, what has really, really changed, more so than we've seen in a long time, as per some of Google's Think Travel research just recently, is that the 43% of travel buyers are actually accessing search in the middle of the buying cycle. So we have, you know, a user who may start in the dreaming phase and continue into the research phase, and then may go back to search for actual booking of their hotel. But what has really changed is that they're spending a lot of time in that middle and post in search. So local search and mobile visibility is really more important than it's ever been. So it's extremely important that we're looking at these new rules in search, because we need to know that what to optimize our site for, specifically for amenities beyond booking of a hotel. So really what we need to do is think about optimizing websites for of course, for the booking of the hotel room, but also for pages beyond the room, other amenities that you offer, your restaurant, spa, on-site retail. I also see this as a place for you to, optimizing for that in-destination search is an opportunity for hoteliers to really build that relationship with their customer. If for some reason that customer didn't come directly through their booking engine or direct booking, this is the opportunity, knowing that your guest is searching in destination, to still be part of that conversation, and to encourage a positive visitor review post to social media. So the big change here in the consumer behavior that has impacted us is that mobile queries per user originating from a hotel, so while in destination, have grown by 49% since 2014 over 2015. I'm willing to bet that that's going to be, even substantially higher, 2015 over 2016, with the adoption of mobile devices and the increased availability and accessibility of Wi-Fi. So it's important for hoteliers to note this and use this as an opportunity to continue to build that customer relationship, knowing that they're going to, still be visible within the search cycle in destination.
Alicia, Jimmy in the audience has a question or a clarification. Are you saying originating from the property itself when they're on property, or
That's
when
correct.
they're... Okay.
Yeah, that was the research that was really recently done in Google Estate Travel. Specifically noted that 49% increase from 2014 to 2015 in destination search, so in hotel search, which is huge. That is a really big change, and it's definitely something that shows you that the customer is using search throughout their journey. Okay. So Google My Business. Again, this has been confusing for many, for all of us actually, as Google continues to change their algorithms and changed recently, within the last year, has decided not to rank or not to use Google Plus as the social engine that they had intended to do prior to after launching it a few years ago. So it used to be that you'd manage all of your Google assets really within your Google Plus and your Gmail account. So now, more important than ever, it is critical, and I've showed you an example here specific to our guest presenter today from Scott's Inn, but you need to make sure that you go and you claim your hotel business listing, and you optimize it with keywords. For Scott's Inn specifically, optimizing for things like Kamloops Inn, Yellowknife Highway, Kamloops Airport. Search terms like that in your Google business listing will help you to be indexed in local search. In addition to that, what's really important now more than ever with the local mobile optimization is to ensure that you're managing Google reviews. So as hoteliers, we've known that we need to focus on positive sentiment and positive reviews in websites and review sites like TripAdvisor. But Google reviews has become critical for more than just the review. Positive reviews will actually help you index higher. So it's really important to encourage those reviews and continue to manage them and respond to them, as well as to make sure that your business listing is updated and optimized specifically to where your map pin is, I can't tell you enough how important it is for mobile search to make sure that that's optimized.
We have another question from the audience, and I'm super excited because Manon is asking this question, and they are in Reykjavik, Iceland. So very cool.
Oh,
thank
wow.
You. Yeah, thank you for joining us. And their question is, the frustration with Google business listings is that it seems to be a big deal for SEO and SEM, but we hardly see any activity. I feel like I'm using it for myself. I have no followers, plus ones, or anything that's happening there. Any words of wisdom?
Yes, you're speaking directly about Google Plus, and I can tell you that Google Plus is no longer. Google will now. The good news is for you that you can focus that attention on better performing social referral networks such as Facebook or maybe Twitter or Yelp or Instagram. But Google Plus, you were correct that you needed to ensure that you spent time nourishing your followers and populating your page on your Google Plus page. But Google has actually is not going to be ranking, is not going to be carrying on with Google Plus any longer. We have an article. I'll post a link to an article on the demise of Google Plus. So you were correct that was something that you needed to do in the past in order to be, even play in the search game. But since Google has changed their direction, you will no longer have to manage Google Plus like you did.
So, Alicia, to clarify, Gemma wants a clarification. So are you saying Google Plus is being completely closed down?
We don't know how long. I still see that there is indexing happening because of Google Plus, but the official direction from Google is that they will not be using Google Plus any longer. That's correct.
Okay, great. So let's talk about social and its impact.
Okay, great. And a great question. Thank you for participating. Appreciate it. And feel free to tweet us as well any follow-up questions. So social media specifically, it is a very important note that Google Plus was a social network, yes, and it was also impacting your local search and your search SEO. So that's a big change as well in the space for us. But again, I can't stress enough the importance of the Google business listing and the fact that has changed. So it has been known as Google Local, Google Places, Google My Business, but verifying that listing, that local listing, and making sure that it's optimized with keywords as well as images and managing your Google reviews is where you should be spending your attention now. Okay, so let's move on to social media and its impact. That is something that has changed as well. It sort of started a couple of years ago, probably in about 2011, 2012, where, like Darlene mentioned earlier, Google's only job is to index relevant content for the user based on a search query. So having said that, Google obviously changes its algorithms because of as a consumer's increased usage of social media channels like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and LinkedIn and Yelp and all of the different social channels out there. So basically what Google did was they added something to their algorithm that the social signal coming from a website platform like Facebook indicated that your property was relevant and it's popular. So social signals are just that, likes on a Facebook page, which helps, of course, too, in your Facebook optimization. But this tells both Facebook as well as Google that your brand is popular. And more specifically to that, though, is the referral back to the website. So shares, likes, and comments on content published on Facebook is great, but it's not enough just to have the page anymore. You must publish engaging content and specifically send content back to with relevant links back to pages on your website. That is what a social signal will be measured as a social signal. The authority of a person tweeting your URL is a factor. Tweets and mentions must come from active Twitter handles. So, don't get caught up in trying to get spam Twitter, referrals back to your site because they won't share any authority. They won't hold any authority. But likes, shares, retweets, plus ones, again, that's phasing out. Repins on any page or post you make on a report can be deemed a social signal and will show search engines that your content is relevant and engaging. So specific to that, we need to make sure that as hoteliers, we're not only posting good content and relevant content, but we're sending that traffic back to specific landing pages. So my suggestion here is, good content. For example, we recently had Valentine's Day, a Valentine's Day special or menu with a link back to a landing page on the website specific to that is, again, going to be a better social signal or referral back to the website than simply a happy Valentine's Day. So a couple of tips here from my friends over at ClickSprout. I like the visuals. So some tips to increasing your social shares. Asking, social users are 21% more likely to engage with a question. Now, best practices are, though, do this in moderation. As social media is a completely other subject matter that we will, I'm sure, speak to in further webinars. But social media isn't a marketing vehicle, it's a conversation piece. So throwing a contest for social users will definitely help engagement. Again, make sure that referral traffic is going back to a landing page on your website, which will help your SEO. Asking social followers for a vote will increase them. Check-ins, of course, are great on Facebook. It's the same sort of process as encouraging sort of reviews on a website. Votes will definitely increase the likelihood of them linking to your URL. So engaging tactics like this, adding a top 10 list of things to do in your destination or things not to be missed in your area. Social sharing really is the key to increasing your social signals back to your website. And yes, it will impact your SEO. The more social signals, quality of social signals, the better. So let's talk about measuring these tactics and indexing and search beyond your hotel name, because this is a discussion of sort of more advanced SEO and what's changed. So I like to say that everything should be rooted back into Google Analytics and understanding where your traffic is coming from. So what you need to do, this is a screen cap of pieces I've tried to make it as easy as possible in the Google Analytics dashboard. So Google Analytics is a universal and free analytics platform. Not to say that there aren't other analytics platforms to run alongside your website. I encourage, any sort of measurement that you're doing, but absolutely every website should have a free Google Analytics account for other reasons besides just tracking. In addition, what I'm showing you here is that if you go down the dashboard into search engine optimization and into queries, if you actually go into, click into queries and you're not seeing the keywords that have been used to drive traffic to your site, for Scott's Inn, for example, perhaps there would be, inns near Kamloops or Scott's Inn Kamloops or different keywords that we should be seeing. If he's not seeing those queries, then he needs to go and up or verify his site in Search Console. So this is just a quick and dirty visual of how to get there within your Google Analytics dashboard. And if you're seeing this report requires Search Console integration to be enabled. This is it's very easy. You click through onto set up Search Console and you set up the data sharing. And from an SEO perspective, this is also a good idea. First of all, it'll allow you to see what keywords are being used to drive traffic to your site, and it will also show you how many impressions. We SEO professionals used to be able to see the keywords driving traffic to our sites in unlimited amounts, but Google a couple of years ago has made it just a little bit more difficult for us to do that. So I would highly recommend adding the Search Console data sharing.
Thanks, Alicia. We've had a ton of questions come in from Hunter and Ashley and Brianna and Alan, and so we'll try and get to those at the end. I just wanted to mention one thing when you were talking about making sure that you verify your website in the consoles. Our customer experience coaches are there to assist customers in verifying their websites. That's one of the support services that we provide when you subscribe to Visly. So for those of you on the webinar who are current customers of ours, please, if you need help with this, reach out to your customer success coach. And for those of you not yet Visly customers, come on board. So thanks again, Alicia. Tons of great information in your section. And as I said, we're going to tee up some more questions at the end. Now I'd like to reintroduce Percy and Maria. And Percy's going to talk to us specifically about his experience with Scott's Inn. So Percy, over to you.
Hi, Darlene. Thank you. Thank you guys for coming on this webinar today. Scott's Inn and Restaurant. It's in a town called Kamloops, small town. Family-run business, small budgets, small everything. So what challenges we were facing mostly when it came to marketing or competing with big giants like Hilton's, Marriott's, Sandman's, and all these franchises. We were a small little motel. The ownership came on board and said, how can we get our existence done in this kind of a market? So first thing came to us is we don't have big money. So how can we do it? So we were doing Google, we were doing everything possible, but we were spending tons of money into marketing. When Visly came on board, our budgets were like, I would say 90% cheaper, because spending money onto local web designers, every time you update, Visly platform let us do everything in one place. And that's what I like about Visly. We went over to Visly and we've seen drastic changes because the platform lets us do everything in one shot, and everything can be done by us rather than depending on a local web developer or designer. Because every time we go to a local web designer, it's communications. We send them emails and it comes back to us in 3-4 days. Okay, it's done. Now again what? So it didn't give us that liberty and platform to do every changes that we wanted to do on our website. So Visly helped us do that, because designing a website itself is expensive, and then you're going to have all these kinds of expenses into pay-per-clicks and all. It turns out to be more expensive. So Visly really stopped us from spending that kind of a money. So
Percy, and we've been talking a lot about how, it's tough to keep up with all the algorithm changes. And I think what you've found is that because Visly is SEO friendly, you don't have to worry yourself about keeping up with the changes, nor do you need a third party to help you do that anymore. So I think that for me was one of the meaningful parts of your story.
Absolutely, because that's what Visly does. It's like the website is in our control, SEO is in our control, even social media is in our control. Everything is in our control, and we are creating the same story at all and everywhere. So we don't have, being an individual, being an independent, we are not giving different stories all the time. So what happens is Visly's storytelling is the perfect thing. People need to know, people need to see, people need to feel by seeing what the product is all about. And if we don't let them know how our rooms are, or what our service is, or what's happening in the hotel, how can we tell millions of people that are looking at our website every day? So Visly definitely lets us tell us that. And with Visly, again, everything comes on the platform, including TripAdvisor, Google reviews. If you do Twitterings, photos definitely tells a big story, because that's what people look at. And again, Visly tells me is which picture really will bring in the crowd. Is it the bathroom picture? Is it the outside picture? Is it the restaurant picture? So that also helps us to let us know that what people are looking at before they're booking and converting into a reservation. Because people might click. We're spending the money, but we are not converting into a reservation. So Visly's website has really helped us in order to convert them into a reservation, and we see a lot of direct bookings, a lot of walk-ins increasing just by our photos and easy visibility of what's happening on our websites. So, and again, very specific photos are very important. Words are very important. Very much you should be involved with the community because community lets us know how we are doing. So we are very much involved with the community, especially like places like Facebook and Twitters. So we do a very good job on our Facebook. Facebook really converts our business. We really advertise on our Facebook. So we promote our property really on Facebook and everything. And TripAdvisor, again, we say on TripAdvisor we don't comment, but we have to comment. Does it help us in our search engines? I thought didn't, but it definitely does because even a negative review becomes a positive for us and how we manage those reviews. So it's very important to be very much involved.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Percy, absolutely. And you mentioned something about photos and captions and descriptions. You know, they do, when you tell your story that way, those things do a couple of things. First, they give context. The words give context to the photo. And the other thing, and we did a blog last year about the world's best captions and short descriptions. You know, one of the challenges a lot of hoteliers have is that, you know, all the listings are the same and it's hard to break away from the crowd, and, you know, the online space is so busy these days. So how does Scott's Inn stand out from the crowd versus the other properties in the area? And one good way to do it, and something you guys are doing, is putting context around those images in a way that is interesting and helpful to the person who is on your website. And because it's interesting and helpful, it's also memorable. And that when it comes time to choose you, you're at the top of their list. So.
True. That's true, and that's exactly what is. It's a motel, but still we compete with these big giants, and we do a good occupancy. It's all because of how we are storytelling our property. It's not a fancy motel if you look at it from outside, but the service and the product from inside is excellent, and that's what people brings us back. And we create, again, we call that our community, and people trust us. They start calling us directly rather than just going onto our website and booking. Even as like today, people sometimes will call because the front desk, the way they tell the people also is, hey, we are an independent and we have low budget. So call us directly and we will definitely give you a better rate. So there, again, we started a kind of a storytelling to people, and we are converting into a traffic and into a conversion of the rooms, right? Excellent. So that's the beauty about Wizzly. Like anything you want to do on a Wizzly, it takes you not more than 5 to 10 minutes. Take pictures, take stories, turn keywords. Any events that are happening in the city, you can easily just blast it off. It's very important because any events that you do and you put it over there, it again helps because people are coming into the town for those events. So they are going to put it on Google. Let's say right now we have a Cowboy Festival coming up. Do something with Cowboy Festival. People will key in those words and our property will start picking up at the same time. So
that's
definitely
right.
important
And
to be part of it.
yeah, and, you know, Alicia brought this up as well. It's about what is happening in and around the area because that's how consumers search today, right? They are searching, you know, Cowboy Festival and Kamloops. So if you are optimizing your website with those keywords, Google is matching the consumer's query to your answer on your website, and because it's such a good match, you're going to rise to the top of the rankings. And there's been several questions that have come in from the audience on that. How do I get on the first page? And this is one.
There's the winning question. That's the winning question.
Yeah.
But we always say, like, this was the same question I always ask Wizzly. Like, oh, I'm never on the first page. Oh, on Trivago, I'm never there. Oh, on TripAdvisor, I'm never there. So the question was, be patient. I always say, guys, be patient, you know. It's a system. It's got to breathe. It's got to start, you know. It takes time, but be consistent. Don't be in a hurry and keep your story the same. Don't be hesitant and then say, oh, this is not working. Everything works. Only thing is what you have to do is be consistent, know your product ins and out, and make it as your own. Like it's your own place, and, you know, keep it. If you know what your product is all about and what you want to tell the people, don't shift it because it's like identifying your property from your competitors. Why is your property different from the competitors? What are you offering that the others are not offering? These are the questions you ask. Once you have those answers, put them on paper, put them onto your website, and and that's what will come out as a winner always. So patience is very key, absolutely very key. And beauty about that's what Vizly did for me. It's like we were patient. We were spending way less money than what we used to spend with local web designers, updatings, and now we don't even do anything. Vizly really helps me. My agent always helps me. Anything I need help, they are there to help me immediately. And my updates get happening. And the beauty about it is we even put in videos and even we put in some kind of chats in there. So the website is very, very user-friendly. And now today I don't have to depend on, oh, who am I going to call? Or if today if a front desk needs any help, they know what to do or what they see on our website, and it's easily to change, So very user-friendly website, and you are in control and not somebody else is in control. Like in some branded hotels, sometimes we are not, but still. In this case, we are always independent and we can control our own SEOs and our own websites, our own pictures. If today we do a renovation, put the picture in there, we can do it ourselves right through our cell phones today. So that's the beauty about Vizly,
And can you talk, Percy, a little bit about local search engine optimization, Google Places, local listings, and reviews, and how they impact search?
Absolutely. Reviews are very important. Ask your guests, how was your stay? Again, be very interactive even when you're on the property. Out of 100 people, maybe 2 will give you reviews, but those 2 reviews will be good or bad. It doesn't matter. Be confident in your product. Tell the people to go and give any reviews. And what's important with the reviews is that how the reviews come in and how you answer them is the key about all these answering of the reviews, because reviews will help you also in search engine optimization because you're going to tell them about your product. If somebody says, oh, you did such a good job, the rooms are so clean, mention that, thank them, that we do a good job, our housekeeping does a great job in making sure that the rooms are maintained and cleaned. And in question to local settings, it's all about how you are very socially involved with your community. In the sense, what I talk about social communities, Facebook is a key, TripAdvisor is very key, nowadays Trivago is very key. Again, even on Booking.com, Expedia and all today, you can answer to those reviews. Try to answer to those reviews, or just put a face of a like or don't like or thumbs up or whatever. Just do that. Even on third-party channels, it helps you in your search engine. Because
I'll chime in.
Talking about you,
I'll chime in here too to back you up, Percy. One suggestion that I have, it's Alicia here, prior to your next busy season, I think it is that critical to even have some type of meeting or session with all of your staff, whether they be housekeeping or restaurant front of house type of people, and even incentivize them. Reviews are that critical now, not just again for TripAdvisor, but for Google and for your search ranking. And sentiment and positive sentiment is a make or break for hotels. So that one suggestion I would have for properties prior to the next busy season is to have sort of a review website meeting, or the importance of, or how can we tell our story, emphasize some of your staff to, talk to your guests and to be friendly. And, it's pretty fascinating when you can see reviews happening on Google or TripAdvisor, and when those staff see their names, it's pretty powerful stuff. So whatever you can do as a property owner or manager to facilitate that sort of, the discussion of how important the reviews are, I would absolutely encourage you to do that.
Thanks, Alicia. And this question is from Alan. It's a good question. I'm going to tee it up now instead of at the end. It appears Alan is at a branded hotel, and he's asking, what do you recommend we do when we're not able to claim our business listing because they are branded? Any advice?
Yes, good question, Alan. I've seen this quite a few times. I'll take this one, Percy.
Okay.
So there's also challenges. Some of you might face challenges as well when you have multiple businesses at a place listing. I'm sure anyone who's listening has probably experienced that as well. So if you're a branded property, typically the brand has done the job of claiming the listing for you. So what you're going to have to do, Alan, is make sure that indeed has been claimed by the brand team. and then that it has been optimized for you. Now, I'm assuming that you may have a vanity or other type of website in addition to the corporate site. That's where it gets a little sticky. If the property brand claims the site, then that link is going to go to the corporate.com website. But if that's not a problem, then it's okay for the brand to have claimed that for you. Just make sure that you work with your brand to make sure that it's fully optimized properly. Most larger brands have programs in place to ensure that their properties are covered. But if it's a specific question of I'd like the link to go to another website or a brochure website or an additional website that you have for the property, then or you have other restaurants or businesses at that place, then you can actually put a ticket in and try to get a verification process redone through Google.
Great. Thanks, Alicia. And back to you, Percy. We're interested to hear what you learned along the way as you were implementing your new solution, and so that you can share with others.
Well, the biggest obstacle of expense, and it's definitely budget, whether it's a big hotel when I work for or a small motel that I'm doing for, money is always important. So first of all, Wizzly is very cost effective, very user friendly, and the conversion rates are extremely fine. It's easy to update, as we said. And the beauty about Wizzly is the mobile version, because everybody today does everything on a phone. So what you do on your desktop is consistent throughout, even on your mobile phone, and how you design it. So what are people looking on a mobile phone? That's what I learned from Wizzly too. If they're not looking and sitting there to see what you guys are doing, they just want to book or see the rooms, and that's what Wizzly has even helped us to be mobile friendly. So when somebody clicks in on Scott's Inn on a mobile website, it immediately tells you, and it takes you there, and it gives you the key content of what's needed or what a guest needs to see when they're booking a hotel room. So it's very, very user friendly, very mobile friendly, very easy to manage. As I said, customer service is excellent from Wizzly, and easy to manage in the sense is you just sit there, it takes you 5 minutes to update, and you're done. That's the beauty about Wizzly. It's not a rocket science like, there is no language to learn. It's like how you're doing a simple email attachment. That's how it really works, And it's consistent. That's all.
And something I found fascinating about your story is that you're able to decrease your reliance on the OTAs. I know that's the goal of a lot of hotel marketers.
Absolutely, because what's happening is, again, if you're on a mobile and it tells you, call the hotel, there's a button right there where you can just put it, just call the hotel. Rather than playing around when you're driving, just call them and you get it right over there. And sometimes guests even say that, hey, we didn't want to go through the whole swag of the trip, OTAs and all that, so they just call us directly and talk to us over the phone. So it really, really brings you direct bookings very easily. Again, Wizzly has put us on Trivago and all these websites on a higher ranking, and we are getting our direct website pricing before the OTA, so people are booking us directly as well too. So it's giving us the liberty to make packages as well in the same time, so which we cannot do that on OTAs. So we put in ski packages, romance packages, all kinds. There are always standard branded packages like B&Bs and all, but the conversion rate when they call you directly is definitely not way better than what you would have done through an OTA or something like that. So.
And I moved to this slide, Percy, because several people have asked the question, so what kind of results have you seen? And I know that we have a quote here, and you've been very vocal about how you've had an increase in direct and walk-in and a decrease in ad spending.
Yes, definitely. I would say 60 or to 70% of my budget is saved now on at least on advertising. We don't even nowadays do pay-per-clicks on Google anymore because of the way we are really set up on the platform of Wizzly. It's really reduced that cost down. again, we say is managing your reviews is always the key. Please be very well involved with those reviews because that's the key. That will make or break your SEOs, right? Because if you tell them what's happening, if you tell them thank you, if you tell them sorry, and give them a proper excuse or proper reason why would have that happened. Sometimes we are in the hospitality industry, we make mistakes. Everybody knows that. Nobody's perfect. But again, how we deal with the negative reviews is the key in this business. And what we saw with Visley is, first of all, our occupancy really has drastically gone up in a year's time. And our walk-in business has increased by almost 20%. And the ADR slowly and the RevPARs are slowly increasing because of our direct walk-ins and direct bookings. And as we work for many owners, the ownerships are happy because they're not putting out too many expense bills, and it's very user friendly. If a boss comes and says, hey, I was online and I was doing this and I didn't see this from our side, hey, it's a good question. Maybe let's research it out and see what something is wrong. So again, it's in your hands. You are in control of all these things, and website, as we say. Again, very important things when we buy real estate is location. Website location is the key to everything else your business,
And Percy,
thanks very much, Percy. So it's always great to hear from a hotelier telling their story. It makes it real for the audience, and I think, Percy, there were a lot of very practical tips that you offered the audience today that they can take away. And there have been a lot of people asking in the chat box if they're going to receive a recording of the webinar, and absolutely, we will send you a thank you for joining us email with a link to the recording. It'll also be on SlideShare, so you'll be able to listen to it again or pass it along to a colleague. So this next poll that I'm going to launch really helps us understand what you thought of the content today. So if you would please answer the question, based on what you heard today, will you attend future webinars? So for sure, I don't know, or unlikely are the three choices. And it really does help us understand, are we addressing the subjects that are important to you, and are we explaining these topics from an educational perspective such that they're helpful to you. So the majority of you have voted, and thank you very much. It seems like most people felt like this was good content today, so we really appreciate that. And just in closing, before we get to questions, if we look back to the very early 1900s when Henry Ford set out to democratize the car, what he said was that, I want to build a car for the multitude so that every person who wanted one could afford one. Well, that was the objective when we launched our digital marketing platform we call Visley, and Percy referenced it several times today, because it makes it possible for virtually every accommodation provider on the planet to have an affordable website that not only looks and feels like a custom product, but importantly impacts conversions in a very meaningful way. The website environment engages travel shoppers by creating relevant, powerful visual stories about Scott's Inn in today's example, and Percy doesn't have to pay or wait for a webmaster to turn around his changes or updates. So this really is an opportunity to set yourself apart from the competition so that the shopper chooses your property with the certainty that it's the right choice for them. So we have another webinar coming up next month, where we'll be talking about the clear path to direct booking. So look for that in your inbox. And as I said earlier, we will be sharing a recording of this webinar today. So we have time for a couple of questions. And let's see, there were so many that have come in. Here's an interesting one, and Alicia, Percy, either one of you, from Chrissy, and she wants to know, is a Google review more important and effective towards SEO than TripAdvisor? What do you guys think?
Well, I'll take it, and Percy, you can
you can chime in. I think from an SEO perspective, managing all reviews is important. Critical is TripAdvisor because of their distribution and their relevancy to hotels, specifically in travel, and really it's TripAdvisor is sort of an engine into itself. And the thing is with TripAdvisor actually will come up in search related to a property website. That's not actually ideal for the property. Obviously, our intent is to encourage direct bookings with the property. So having said that, managing Google reviews has become a necessary evil, even more so than it was before, because it does directly impact specifically your Google Places section. Positive reviews and the more reviews, very much like how TripAdvisor manages their algorithm of moving properties with positive sentiment up in the search rank. Google, it looks to be that Google is ranking even hotels higher in that places or that Google Places space. The more positive the sentiment is, which makes sense from a consumer usage behavior as well. So I wouldn't say that, from my perspective, either one is better or should be done more. Both are equally important.
Great. Thanks, Alicia.
I agree with that, Alicia.
Here's an interesting question from Sulin. She wants to know, because we were talking about the Cowboy Festival, Percy, and I guess Sulin is in Toronto, and she's asking, is it good to use those city keywords, like things to do in Toronto, and to use them in your blogs as well? So, Alicia, Percy, thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's absolutely Percy, important, right? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
sorry,
it's
Alicia.
critical.
Yeah, it is important. It's very critical because, let's say, Kamloops Cowboy Festival. It's a festival that's only done in Kamloops every year, and there are thousands of people who are going to search for that kind of a deal or who's doing what. So they're going to go on the website and they're going to start looking for deals. So it's very important to have it. And
they're also going to be looking
for.
They're also going to be looking in search. And if by optimizing a page on your website around that type of content, Scott's Inn can likely be even indexed for that search. So getting that done, another tip is to get that done, or that landing page or that place on your site where you're talking to special events. Get that done early, prior to, so that the Google bots have time to index that page so that your site comes up.
Yeah,
so, and again, I say it's partnership always is important. So.
That's right. Absolutely. It's important to work closely with your partners. And last question, and this is coming from Hunter, and he's asking, are you recommending that if a hotel has a vanity site, they should have a page dedicated to the social media outlets that they're in, and that the content from the conversations in those sites are displayed on their vanity site on the social page? It's kind of a loaded question. So, Alicia,
that's a very loaded question.
You want to take that first?
First, yes.
Yeah.
I do have a social integration tool called Hashtagio. So of course I would feel that it is very important to integrate your social conversations into your website. I would say the simple answer to that is do it well. Specific to our discussion here today, I would say that, depending on budgets and resources to manage that, what is most important is to make sure that whatever you are placing on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter has a place also on your website. So whether or not you're streaming or you have a widget that imports, your Facebook content or whatever, or even your TripAdvisor widget, the key is to make sure that whatever you're talking about off-site on social channels such as Facebook, that you're also creating content about that on your website.
Great. Thank you, Alicia. Percy, anything to add? Are you good?
No, that's correct. Consistency, as we say again,
Yes, exactly.
Tell your story consistently.
And, consistency is the cornerstone of any brand, and it creates trust and credibility. And the more you're consistent across all of your channels and across all the devices that consumers are using, the more trusting the consumer is going to perceive that you are. And again, it all comes back to, and then the more likely they're going to choose you. So, well, thanks, Alicia Whalen. We really appreciate your expertise today. I know the audience really got a lot out of it. And Percy and Maria from Scott's Inn, thank you very much. As I said earlier, it's always really important for the audience to hear from someone who's been there, done that. It makes it real, and it just adds to the helpful education that we try and deliver to our audiences. So thank you both very much. And to everyone in the audience, you've been great, very interactive. We really appreciate your attention. And join us next time for a discussion on clear path to direct booking. So thanks, everybody, and have a good rest of your week. Bye-bye.
Thank you.